guys, Ham Solo here, K0FYR or WRMV759 for GMRS. What I'm going to do today is discuss continuum tone coded squelch and digital coded squelch tones, their function, what they're used for, are they really private or not, and then how you could scan to find those using another radio. And so this was brought to me by a subscriber who asked if I could show that, and it should be fairly simple to do as long as we understand the concepts and everything that we're talking about. If you like the information presented, please think about subscribing. Also, I have my crowdfund to buy me a coffee, and also my Patreon accounts. And so if you want to contribute to the channel, it'll help me buy radios and stuff so I can continue to do testing just like this on different makes and models and different accessories. So appreciate you watching. Pay attention, and let's see if we can figure this out. Alright, so you have continuous tone coded squelch, and you have digital coded squelch. And basically what it is it's a set of tones. Some people call them secret codes, quiet tones, PL tones, what have you. Basically, it enables you to have your radio only open up when it hears that tone. And so it transmits a sub-audible tone onto a carrier frequency, and then from there your radio will open its squelch when it hears that sub-audible tone. That's kind of the idea. This doesn't matter if it's ham radio, MURS, GMRS, FRS, all of that is pretty much the same. And so the way that continuous tone coded squelch or digital coded squelch works is that way. And so I have two radios here. These are going to be set to GMRS frequencies. So one of them, the Ocean KG-UV9G, and that one is a GMRS Part 95 radio. I have the dreaded Baofeng, and this is an X3. This is a tri-band Baofeng ham radio, and I have it set to monitor GMRS frequency right now. And so right now it's monitoring the 462-700, and it has continued tone coded squelch tones in it, specifically 131.8 on both transmit and receive. And so I'm going to set that one over here on the desk. My KG-UV9G also is transmitting, or this one's transmitting on the GMRS channel, and it has the same tones, 131.8 on both transmit and receive. And I have a kind of a generic repeater set up in the backyard. And so if I key this one up, and this one has the right tone, it's going to hear WRMV 759. I'm a little bit close. You heard a little bit of the squeal, but basically it heard WRMV 759. And so this one again has the same code in it, or tone, 131.8 on the receive. And so going through the repeater, activating the repeater, hitting this radio, opening the squelch because the tones are the same. Now, someone comes along and they buy a generic bubble wrap radio from one of the big box stores. And so I'm going to use a separate GMRS radio for that, but I'm going to pretend that this is a $25 bubble wrap radio. Okay? And so this one, if I turn it on and I find those people talking on that radio, WRMV 759, and they're transmitting, they're talking about whatever, this one right now has no tones in it at all, like 0 tones. And so if I go into the menu settings and I get to the tones, you'll see here on the receive it says off. So there is no tone in this at all. And this will tell you just how secure your transmissions are.
WRMV 759.
And so these aren't secret, private, encoded tones. If you don't have any tones,
1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1,
you can still hear every single thing that people are talking about. And so you don't have to have tones in your radio to hear. All right, so the idea that somehow putting those tones in makes your conversation private is not true. It just keeps you from hearing somebody else. And so again, I am on the same GMRS repeater, and this is channel 21, frequency 462-700, no tones. WRMV 759. WRMV 759. Hey guys, I got a new radio. I want to talk on your repeater. Hello? Anybody? Okay? So if you don't have the tones, you can't transmit into that repeater, and the repeater won't rebroadcast, and it won't open the squelch on the radios that have the tones. That's the point of the tones. So any type of static communication or little kids playing around with the radios that don't have the tones in them, they're not going to bother you because they're not able to even open the repeater, let alone open the squelch on your radio for you to hear. So now what some people will do is they will try to find those tones in order to be able to access or talk to the same people. And so again, pretending that this is a bubble wrap radio, I'm going to put it into a scan code, and so whenever there's an active signal, it'll start scanning that channel to try to find out what the code is. And again, I have these set right now for 131.8. And so on most of these radios, including even the bubble wrap radios, if you go into your menu, you can usually find something that's called scan code. And when you press on it, it's going to start with the codes. And if you have active transmission, yeah, I went out on the back range and I was trying to feed the cows. And while I put out the thing, and so just by sitting there and activating that scan, it found the code on the receive transmission coming out of my repeater. And so your repeater could have an output tone. Again, that's the one, 138.8, that was opening up these radios. And all I had to do was sit there and hit scan while there was an active transmission on, and I was able to find that code. Now, if that person were to enter that code in here, again, it's just a simple menu function. You just find out wherever you enter your codes. Again, you know, scrolling through your menu, usually you'll find it in the neighborhood. I have receive CTCSS or transmit DCS or transmit CTCSS, so whichever one. And so once he goes, hey, well, I know that what that tone was, it was 131.8. And as soon as he goes in there and hits 131.8 on his transmit, he hits, usually with the cheaper radios, it'll do both transmit and receive. It'll automatically enter it for both transmit and receive. And so once he has that entered, then he can go, WRMV 759, hey guys, I like cows too. All right, and so now he's found your tones. Now, repeater owners got a little wise to this, and so what they started to do was splitting tones. A lot of the cheaper radios weren't able to do that initially, and so if he put a different tone to open the repeater, the uplink frequency was a different tone, and the receive that you would get, or the transmit frequency from the repeater, was a different tone, two different tones. The more inexpensive radios weren't able to do that. And so try to see if we can give a demonstration of that. All right, so what I've done is I've now set up my two radios here, the Baofeng that I'm monitoring, the KGUV9G that I'm transmitting on, I have them receiving from the repeater CTCSS code 131.8 like before. However, the transmit tone that I have going to the repeater to activate the repeater is actually a DCS tone D223N. And so I'm using split tones. A tone to activate the repeater so it'll broadcast, the repeater transmitting a tone that the radios are receiving to listen. All this guy knows, the bubble wrap radio that he got from Walmart, is that when he decodes, he's going to see that it's 131.8. So there's no tones in this at all. Okay? So again, somebody transmitting on a radio into a repeater, WRMV 759. Hey guys, went out to go check the back 40 again, looking for the cows. Bubble wrap radio hears. My monitoring radio hears. This one again is no tones, so that's why it's hearing. The other one has the tones in it, that's why it's hearing. And so now this guy's going to search again for those codes. And so he hits in there, he goes to the menu option for search. Got the scan, I'm turning it on. And this bubble pack supposed radio is listening. Again, trying to find tones for the downlink coming from the repeater. And there it is, 131.8. And so again, he scanned, he found 131.8. And so if he goes and tries to enter that as the tone, all he has to do is, again, enter the 131.8. So transmit 131.8, receive, we're going to put 131.8. And again, that's the intent. That's what he's trying to do, is find your tones. And so now he's got 131.8 in both transmit and receive. And here are the radios that he was listening to. Hey, I like cows too. And I heard about you going out into the back field and trying to get them. And so you can't hear him. Why? Because he's not actually activating the repeater, because the repeater now has a split tone to receive. So yes, it's transmitting on 131.8, which is what he found, but he has no idea what the transmit tone is, and he's not talking. So all he's going to keep hearing is, oh yeah, so as we were back there with the cows in the back pasture and blah 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 blah, WRMV 759. And again, he can hear, because 131.8 is the receive frequency from the transmitter. Oh yeah, hey guys, can I interrupt? I want to talk too. And they can't hear, because he's not actually tripping the repeater. Now, if he had a fancier radio, he could find what the input frequency is. Okay, the easiest way to, or the input tone is, he knows what the frequency is GMRS has the same input output. And so all he's got to do is have a better radio and do a scan reverse of the repeater. I know that sounds a little complicated. Basically, on repeaters for GMRS, for example, you're always transmitting on 467 point whatever the three digits are. You're receiving on 462 point whatever the three digits are. So that's always the same on GMRS. And so all he's got to do is hit a button on his screen that's called reverse. And so I'm going to put the frequency up so you can see it. And so that's originally what he's listening to, 462,700. And that is the output coming from the repeater. That's what he was searching when he found the 131.8 tone. And so now all he's got to do is, on this one, it's momentarily press the scan button. And it actually flips the input and output frequency, like it reverses it. And so now he's actually listening to the input frequency of the repeater. Now, he has to be close enough to the original transmitting guy to hear his transmission going into the repeater. You can't do it from the repeater output because that's going out at 50 watts. You could be 20, 30 miles away. But you have to be within range of this radio when he keys up on the actual input frequency to do this scan. And so once he reverses and he goes into his radio and he tries to scan again, now if he's in proximity to the first radio, he can now try to find out what the tone is. Again, going through the thing and trying to play with the cows out in the back pasture, and we just need to know what's happening with them. I don't see them anywhere, and so that's not helping very much. Who knows where they are? And so I ran through all of the CTCS codes, and I still didn't see it. So that tells me that he's probably using DCS. And so on that one, again, it's going to be probably a different menu area to try to find what that is. And actually, I don't even know what it is on this radio. So let's see. Press F2 to toggle between tones and codes. And so, okay, F2. PF2, short press. Alright, so when I was originally looking for CTCSS codes and I hit scan, I press the F2 and it starts looking through the codes. Again, we got a problem with the cows. We can't find them right now. Not sure where they're at. And so we're just going to keep looking until we can figure out where the cows are. Oh my goodness. And so all he did was he was scanning through CTCSS. He got all the way around and he didn't find the input tone that the guy was transmitting on within whatever proximity, half mile to 5 miles or 10 miles. And so then he hit that PF2 real quick. He switched the radio to DCS search, and he searched until he found it. And so now he knows that on that input frequency, 467 into the repeater, it is a DCS tone of D223N. And so if he goes into his radio, he now goes down to where he enters his codes, and he's going to transmit DCS code, sorry, 223N, and he's going to receive on the 131.8. And now, if he has that good a radio, now he can start talking. Hey guys, I found out where you were. Now I got your codes that go, and you're talking about your cows. I like cows. WRMV 759. And so now he's found you out. And so again, this normally doesn't happen with your cheaper radios. Normally, the cheaper ones are only able to, once they decode, they can only do transmit and receive the same code. You get a little bit higher end radio. Sometimes you can decipher the split tones. In order to find the actual transmit into the repeater tone, you have to be within proximity of wherever the guy is transmitting from, close enough so that when you reverse and try to find his input frequency with his tone, you got to be close enough to do that. It won't do it just searching the output from the repeater. And so I hope this helps. This is Ham Solo K0FYR WRMV 75973.